Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Black and White Gaming's Game Club. I'm your host, Peter Hoy, with my friends, John Longaluco.
Hey, yes, thought I was gonna get a Johnny bag of donuts. Waiting, hey.
And let's go with.
Oh, so he gets a name. Okay, I see what it is.
What is it?
I say the dark skin Separaya.
Dark skin Separaya.
What's up, peoples? What's going on?
What is the BWG Game Club? It is a podcast where we pick a game, we play that game week by week, section by section, and then we discuss that section. We are currently playing Deadly Premonition, and this is a big episode, boys, because this is our season finale.
Oh, el finito.
I want like a round of applause to come in the back and say, hey.
We have played through all of Deadly Premonition. We have reached the credits and beyond. And now we are here to talk about it in the final episode of the Deadly Premonition Game Club. Let's do a little recap to refresh our memories on what happened last week. Previously on the investigation, we had to face off against the Raincoat Killer. It was George v. York, and York came out the victor.
Love G himself.
But we weren't done yet. Turns out the fat, not really so lovable sidekick, Kaysen, abducted Emily. We left her in his care, and he took her, and now we have to go hunt him down. For this week, we had to play Chapter 25 and the Epilogue. Guys, what did you think? In broad terms, because we're gonna dive deep. We're gonna do a deep dive of Deadly Premonition as we reach the end of this podcast. But in broad terms, let us know right off the bat what you thought about these two chapters that you played. Well, the chapter and the epilogue, and just your experience. Just a little, give them a little tease. Tease them.
Game of the year 2019.
You got some Fortnite thing right here. You'd go in a couple years late.
They almost got it. I would say overall, everything in these two this one chapter and the epilogue was, for me, kind of mind blowing. It just literally wow. Like I can definitely see where your love comes from for this game. It's one of those things where after you watch a TV show that you've been watching for a while, you're like, and then it ends, you're like, man, what do I do now? That's how playing this felt. I enjoyed it, and I think everyone that has listened to the podcast should go out and play this game because the game's great.
Well, here's the asshole view of everything, but no. I will say that I enjoyed this last section. This one, I think definitely had some shock value to it. It was nice having answers to a lot of stuff. So, and that part, it was, fulfilling, to get the answer. So overall, I enjoyed this section.
Awesome. Well, boys, let's dive into the grand finale of Deadly Premonition. Chapter 25 kicks off back in 1956. We're back in time, fellas.
Woo! Yet again.
We see the Raincoat Killer, the old Raincoat Killer, standing over a body. This is the moment where the town went into chaos. If you don't remember, we're talking about when Harry told York the story about the town of Greenvale going insane and the residents of the town killing each other. We're back in this time period. There's a bunch of crazies surrounding the Raincoat Killer. Suddenly, a gameplay segment starts, and we get to play as the Raincoat Killer. We get his axe, we get his raincoat, we get his killing, all of it.
His speed and lack thereof.
Yep.
I know, I love how his walking is super slow, but when he runs, it's a crazy sprint. The objective of this part is to get to the clock tower. We have to get there before the clock tower rings 13 times. If it rings 13 times, we get a game over.
Hi, that'd be me.
That'd be me too.
I was going to ask you guys, did you get a game over? Did you know what to do at this point?
I had no idea really what to do. I saw the marker on there, but I was like, oh, maybe I could just, go around killing people. And I heard like the clock tower go off, right? Counting. And I'm like, oh, well, that's nothing. Completely forgetting about his story and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'm just going to kill people. And then the game over happened. I was like, maybe I have to go to the marker then. Like, it is timed, maybe. So then I just, went on about my day, and I didn't kill as many shadows as I did going there because obviously I don't want to waste too much time. But I did my fair share. Had to get it in, dude. Right? This dude's been tormenting us throughout the whole game. Had to do it.
Yeah,
John?
I got caught up in the gimmick of going around killing people as the raincoat killer, and then I thought that maybe you had to kill everybody in the area within a certain time of the bell ringing, and then I saw a little bit too late the marker, and I said, "Oh!" And then I had to like find how to get out of there, and it just I was sprinting past everything to try to just get there. I definitely showed up way too late and failed. So then I was like, all right, screw this. Next restart, just ran my way right to the place.
I luckily saw the marker when I was panning the camera and immediately knew the first try. Oh, I got to go over there. And it actually surprises me that you guys hung out a bit and didn't care about getting to the marker. Just because every other time in the game, you guys beelined it to the next point.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, when it starts, it's got like the first person, you're inside the raincoat killer looking at the axe.
Yep.
And then I was like, dude, tell me we get to be the raincoat killer. And I just got super excited when we could. And I just wanted to fucking just kill everything. I wasn't even paying attention.
So
I was so pumped.
when you, as the raincoat killer, make it to the clock tower, the raincoat killer looks up and sees Forrest Kaysen at the top. It's Forrest Kaysen who is releasing the gas.
I get really mad when things like this happen because I literally, when they first showed it chapters ago, I was like, haha, fat guy, like a fat military guy. I didn't even put two and two together. Like I remember seeing the fat military guy and be like,
I remember you
the
saying
fat military guy. And then, yep, I'm like, oh yeah, no, yeah, that's him.
I'm
Definitely
not going to lie. I'm surprised neither of you guys said anything about the fat military dude. I thought one of you for sure was going to say, that guy reminds me of Kaysen.
Really, when I was playing this, I remember John saying the fat guy from the last time. And I literally, when I saw him, I was like, oh, motherfucking John.
I didn't even put two and two that it would have been like, I would be like, what if that's Kaysen? What the fuck? Well, I'm not even thinking that.
When the reveal occurs that it is Kaysen, who is dressed up in military garb with the other soldiers releasing this gas into the town, we get a loading screen and we flash back to the future. And we are now York. York is looking up at the tower, turns around slowly, and then sees the town folks, sees the residents of Greenvale, all zombified, holding weapons. They look like they want to tear York to shreds. Isaac and Isaiah run up to York, and they start asking him for help.
Daddy, Mommy, and Grandpa, everyone's acting strange.
It's okay.
York turns to face the crowd. He keeps Isaac and Isaiah behind him, and then gets stabbed in the back. He throws Isaac and Isaiah to the ground. They look up. Their faces are all veiny and weird and monster looking. York reaches back, whips out a pair of scissors that the twins stabbed him with. And now we have to make our way into the clock tower without harming any of the residents. Guys, did you try to shoot any of the residents?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Fuck them kids.
Oh, you went for the kids? Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, dude.
Are they there? Can you see the kids?
No, the kids aren't there. I think I shot the first person that immediately ran at me.
Yeah.
This part was so cool to me because like they're not just like shadows, right? It's not just shadows anymore. It's like the actual people. Like that was cool.
I was
I
gonna
like
say,
that. I liked how different that was.
yeah. To piggyback off of that is that it actually made me wish that I spent more time going through the town, because I feel like that part might have been even just a little bit more impactful if
Mhm.
you visit these people and talk to them on a frequent basis. And I just sped through everything, and even that part I was like, oh damn, the town folk. But I can imagine if you do take that time, that has more emotional resonance to it.
Yep.
I would say the first time I played this game, I made sure to do almost every side quest that I could. And seeing that scene, I looked at everybody and just thought, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. The chaos is happening again.
They could have milked it a little bit more, I think.
They could have.
Definitely.
They could have. Because we got to see it from the Raincoat Killer's perspective, we made our way to the clock tower without seeing what the town looked like in present day. But from seeing that scene, we're assuming that the town is still in disarray in present day. Even
See,
though
I didn't even take that when you start out as the Raincoat Killer. So when you say that now, and when you flash forward and you're back as York, I can see where you're talking about, where it's like the town's like that. But I didn't even think about that.
that's just one idea that you can have.
But that would have
for you
been
guys.
cool if, like, you're York and you're going through the town to get to the clock tower. You're seeing these people, maybe every so often. Like, there are like the shadows, but then there's these people as well.
All in all, you cannot shoot any of the townfolk. You cannot harm them. You cannot shoot them. You get a game over if you do that. So you have to weave your way in and out and get inside the clock tower. After you do, York is back in the mysterious room. Not the red room, but the room with the doors and the puddles and the white trees and everything like that.
It's the white room.
The white room. Yeah, I like that.
Why'd you say this 8 episodes ago? Jesus Christ.
Racist. The white room. Can it be the black room?
You named it.
In here, you can find a suitcase, a toolbox, a phone, a bed, and a sink to shave in. Did you guys shave?
No.
No, God no.
I did.
Early man.
Got $60 for it this time.
Hey, that cash money flow.
Were any of your suits stinky?
No.
No.
No, neither was mine. I can't
Yeah.
believe only that one time my suit was stinky.
Yeah.
That one time. The one time. And it was the longest cutscene ever.
It really was.
Stinky
It was
agent.
the last time we were at the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stinky agent.
It was sequential cutscenes, but there was
Right.
no way to change your suit.
Your
So you
suit
were
on the
stuck
fly, right.
with your... Yeah, stuck on the fly. Yeah. Way to say that. All right. There's a door in the white room that when you try to open, Harry's voice comes in from the clouds.
Open this door. There is no turning back. You still want to enter?
You have a choice, okay or no. Obviously, we all said yes and went
Yes,
through the
of course.
door. After saving,
Yes. A B S.
which is very important because this next stretch of gameplay is
Yeah.
a very long scene of gameplay without any way of saving.
No.
Did you guys experience any crashes in this final section?
One. And it was here at the beginning of this. So I was not too upset.
Okay.
I was a little mad, but I was not too upset because literally, like you just said, it's a long stretch and I would have lost my mind. I probably, if it would have happened, we probably wouldn't be here. I would have been like, nope, push it
Yeah,
another day.
My game crashed at the beginning of the Raincoat Killer section.
Mm.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I was like, well, it's right at the start.
Oh, yeah. Didn't it
Yeah.
crash when you were about to get a game over anyway?
Something like that. It was something stupid. I was just like, well, all right. let's just, at least it's now. Didn't really do much.
Luckily, I didn't have any crashes. But I
Nice.
know that this stretch was very long. And
That's what
I
nervous.
was just
You were
praying to the gaming gods that this game would not crash anywhere from the halfway point to the end of this sequence. Walking through the door, York sees Kaysen on the stage in the theater. Emily is on the stage with him in a chair. Her shirt is unbuttoned. You can see some of her breasts. There is a blanket covering the lower part of her body, and there is a plant coming up from her, but you can't see where the base of the plant is. When you guys first saw this scene, what went through your mind?
You fucking asshole.
I thought it was in her vagina. Thought it was there. To be honest, I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "What did he do?"
I definitely knew where it was because we found
Mama George.
Oh, Mama George.
Mrs. Woodman. So I was like, "You son of a bitch."
So you already knew the moment you saw it. You took a guess and knew it had to be similar to Mrs. Woodman.
Had to have been. Fucking dick. Fucking asshole, dude. Bro. This game is great, dude. This game is great.
York walks down to the stage, and Kaysen greets him.
Finally, you arrive, York.
George is dead. You've got nowhere left to run.
George! Oh, right, George. He was a funny one. I gave him a toy locket, and he was so impressed, so moved. But he wasn't very intelligent. He was born in this town, you see, and it took him too long to discover the red seeds. Binding down people's rules is a sign of small-mindedness, and that was what George represented in life.
With Kaysen saying those things, it alludes to the fact that he is roaming the country, fueling people with these seeds to commit atrocious acts. It's what he did with George, and he didn't even think highly of George, even though it showed pictures of him, arm around George. And
It was just a pawn.
yep, George was nothing to him.
Yeah, I kind of pitied George after that because he just fell for it so hard.
Yep.
And then, like I said, it was just like a toy locket. It was just like, man, he's
I
really
just said
looking
it,
for
dude.
something.
Yeah, the story with the locket was just a farce. Didn't mean anything. He was just playing George's strings. And George was just a little kid who was abused by his mother that ate that up because he wanted power.
Right.
York doesn't care about this. He wants Emily.
I'm taking Emily.
Oh, but I can't allow that now, can I? York, you left her to me, in my care. Remember, I told you to come with us, didn't I? Must remember that. But you didn't come. You chose your job over the woman that you love.
None of you said anything when Kaysen told York, "Don't blame me if anything happens to her."
Yeah. In the last
you're not
episode.
wrong.
Well, no, 2 episodes ago,
It was the
actually.
episode
It
before
was the
last,
episode
yeah.
before. It would have been episode 7.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, because it was when Carol died.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And she forced the red seeds down Emily's throat.
Yep.
Yep. You're right. You're goddamn right. But now, looking at it and what he just said, god damn it, he's right. He's fucking right, dude. He's so right. He got us there. And honestly, thinking back on it now, fucking idiot. Should have just said something like, let's get York. Why don't you just take her to the hospital yourself? Like, what the fuck, dude?
He was
But
on a mission.
he trusted Kaysen, and wrong goddamn move.
The coffee warned him about it. Coffee warned him not
Bro, that early
trust.
it warned him.
Kaysen. FK, bro.
FK, dude. Oh man, when he said this, my mind went back to that, and I was like, "Oh, this motherfucker." He was playing everyone, bro. He played everyone, and he played us. He played me. He played me. Even though I said I don't trust this motherfucker, he played me.
Well, they leaned so heavily into like the FK. They had the little doll in the little scenes. Like it was almost like, are they like they're not going to be that obvious with it that it's going to be him, but it
Hidden in
it
plain
was.
sight.
It
Hidden
was.
in plain sight. The tree, the mark, the seeds, dude. Oh my god! Listen, I went back and I watched that episode, right, when I was saying it, he literally talks about seeds and gardening.
Talks about the
He's like,
sapling.
"Oh, seeds, gardening, that's my thing." Motherfucker, dude. Motherfucker.
I kind of like that they lean so into it, but the way they portray him, you think, I don't know if it could be Kaysen. This
No.
guy's kind of a loser.
But dude,
But it's right there. It's right there in front of you at the very beginning of the game. FK in the coffee.
and you know what's
Right,
crazy?
but he's also not the raincoat killer, right?
Right.
So it's like
Not the raincoat killer.
it's separate things, right? But they melded into one, maybe in this instance, and then it's really just two different things.
I think the game does that really well where they get you to focus on the raincoat killer
Yep.
instead of the bigger picture. Because the
Well,
whole game, you're like,
Yeah.
wait, who could the killer be? Who's the killer? Who's the killer? You're not thinking, who's the mastermind?
Well, no,
Behind
it's
all of
not even
this.
it's not even that. It's more of like they make you, and they do a good job of doing it, but they make you think that it's all tied in the same. Raincoat Killer is the Red Seeds, situation.
Right.
So it's like you're not even thinking of it as two different things. It's just one thing. So you're like, whoever the Raincoat Killer is the whole seed situation.
Right.
But really, like I said, it's two different things. So they do a good job of throwing you off that trail.
And I think it's crazy now because when you think about it, right, he has these red seeds from other cases,
Mhm.
right? So when he flashes back last episode to all the cases and everything, this dude has been doing this for a long time,
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
a while.
Well, that's what I was always confused about too. And I think it was in the episode where Harry's telling the background to York. I was like, so the Raincoat Killer is going around the whole country trying to gain power. Like it didn't make sense to me, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. But I never really thought. Again, they tied it together with that. I didn't think of it as two separate things.
You don't think about it until you really find. I think when you really find out who the Raincoat Killer is, and then you're like, could he really be doing all of this? I said there's got to be someone that's doing the mastermind. I don't even know if I said mastermind, but I think the leader or whatever I said. This motherfucker, dude. Just wow.
York is done with the conversation. He's starting to get pissed off.
Casey, this chit-chat is over.
Over? Indeed it is. My fun with Emily ended just a moment ago.
That made me cringe
Yes.
so fucking bad.
Same. I was like, you. Oh, I got goosebumps just from hearing him say that again.
Yeah, I was
Guess
like,
what?
Emily, you're such a whore. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, if you thought that was cringy, there's more to come.
Oh yeah, dude.
It was a fantastic moment. Like eating a full-course dinner that ends with the ultimate dessert.
What do you guys think of that?
This man's a pig, bro. And it just makes me think
Gross.
about all the others, man. Ugh.
There were a lot of women in those flashbacks.
Him just like describing it, even with in terms of like the full course dinner with the ultimate dessert. It just makes it creepier and grosser for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like, ugh.
He's
This
also
whole time I had
licking his fingers and,
yeah,
and
dude.
just
God.
rubbing his mouth. And you know that those hands have been on Emily. And
All right.
You're just disgusted.
Yeah, you.
Ugh.
I had such a disgusted like look on my face the entire time this was going down.
It makes you feel awful at the same time because York could have prevented this.
Kaysen's not wrong again.
Yep. Once again. Whew, man.
Hearing these things sets York off, and he takes a shot at Kaysen.
I fed her a fake story about my past, and she took in every word.
Cut out your nonsense. I told you, no more talk.
There you go, York. That's right. Feel the hate boiling from the bottom of your stomach. That's what makes little men create such great and amazing history. Just like tiny ants that make giant ant hills. You know, I just had dessert, and yet I'm already hungry again. No wonder why I keep failing at keeping a diet.
After he talks about his hunger, he licks his fingers again, and then the worst possible thing that could happen does.
York.
Emily, it's me. I'm here. Don't worry. Everything will be fine now.
Emily wakes up, and she's in a daze. She doesn't really know what's going on. York tries to comfort her, but in hearing his voice, she thinks the individual in front of her is York. And it is not. It is Kaysen. Emily looks up, tells York,
Oh, thank God. York.
Emily, no. That isn't me.
York tries to warn her that it's not him, but it falls on deaf ears, and Emily makes out with Kaysen.
York. York.
Emily!
It is a full-on kiss that happens. It is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's not over yet because Kaysen sticks out his 9-inch tongue and licks Emily's face. And it's only then that Emily realizes it's not York. And she shoves Kaysen away.
Yeah. It's a straight up like Gene Simmons tongue that he's got going on.
Emily snaps out of it and realizes York is to her right. She looks over. York reaches out to her and says,
Hurry, come over here. We need to get you to the hospital.
I can't. I can't go to you. I've been soiled.
No, that's not true. You have a heart that can't be soiled. No matter what happens to your body, you are still yourself.
Emily stands up and the red blanket falls down. We are getting the reveal, folks. The camera starts at her feet and moves upward, revealing that she is in her underwear and that the plant, the red tree that looked like it was on her lap, is actually sticking out of her abdomen.
Ugh.
Kaysen makes it all the worse by saying,
Oh, didn't I tell you? Getting these saplings to sprout requires a certain technique.
Emily looks at York, defeated, and says,
York. Shoot me.
Emily?
Let me die. Please.
York aims his gun at Emily, but is unsure of what to do in this situation. Because of this, he calls out to Zach.
Zach, what should I do?
We then get another flashback. York dives into the depths of his mind, and we are now with York's parents and baby York. We are at the scene where York's dad is holding a gun and aiming it at York's mom. However, we find out that York's dad isn't really aiming that gun at his wife. York's dad is aiming that gun at Kaysen. Kaysen is there in the apartment with them. York's mom is reaching up toward Xander.
Remove that sapling from her body, Kaysen.
Xander, it's too late. Once it's like this, I can't do anything to stop it.
Please. Darling. Shoot me. I'd rather die. If you love me, let me die.
Guys, before we continue the scene, what was going through your heads right here?
It definitely puts a twist on what we've come to think has happened, especially the next parts of everything.
To me, this is crazy because what we knew beforehand, right? What York told us, right, beforehand about everything that happened with his parents. A part of his mind was blocking this up until now. everything that's happening now is triggering all this, and he's finally realizing the truth of what's going on. There's more history between him and Kaysen. I was like, holy shit, this is like a movie. Just my applause. My applause, dude. Because, like, oh my God, didn't see it coming. This is like the shock factor that John was talking about.
Let's dive into that history. York's mom wants to be shot. She wants to die because she has a tree coming out of her abdomen. Xander doesn't shoot York's mom. That was just a memory York created. Instead, what York remembers now is his mom dies from the tree bursting and growing through her abdomen. It turns her into a lifeless husk, similar to George's mom. Xander, distraught at what he just saw at the death of his wife, says in a very different tone from the way that we heard it before,
"At times we must purge things from this world because they should not exist. Even if it means losing someone that you love."
There's a little addition to that line, though, that we didn't hear when York was telling the story to Emily.
Yes, I couldn't do it. However, you can. When the time comes and you have to make that decision, make the right one.
Okay, Zach?
You heard it right. That was a gunshot. Xander's dad shoots himself immediately after telling Zach to make the right decision.
Telling who?
Telling who? Telling who?
God, bro. It's more shock factor, bro.
He told Zach to make the right choice. Before we even continue, when he said, "Okay, Zach," what did you guys think?
Oh, fuck. I was like, all right, this is interesting.
I said, who the fuck are you talking to? And then I said, are you kidding me? This whole time?
Kaysen kneels down beside York's parents and lays down his little Kaysen toy next to them. That's right, the same toy that we've seen in the dream that Diane was holding. He turns and sees York. In the background, you can hear something.
Zach. Morgan. Francis. Zach. Morgan. I saw you, Zach.
Kaysen then swipes at Zach, and you see the screen turn red. A boy with white hair wakes up in the white room, and then Baby York appears behind the boy with white hair and says,
Hey, Zach. It's okay. I'm here. I'm with you. I'll be with you always. We can get through this together. Who are you? My name is York. Me and you will always be together. Okay, Zach? I'm you, and you are me. Now, give me your hand.
Zach is York. York is Zach. They are split personalities.
Einhorn is
Finkel.
Finkel is Einhorn.
Bro, I shit my pants at that part. I said, are you fucking kidding me? And you just thought he was crazy, John. Kind of is.
He is super crazy.
He kind of is, but
He has
that's
split personality disorder.
from all that, from what happened. That's
I'm
insane.
not saying it's not warranted. I'm just saying he's fucking nuts.
He is nuts.
I don't know
He's
how he
nuts,
passed the
bro.
fucking psych test at the goddamn FBI.
Right. Well, he had Zach there with him. Well, York had Zach there with him.
I mean, Zach had York with him.
Yes. Zach had York with him.
They had each other.
There you go.
I just want to say, the white hair, dope. Absolutely.
Devon, and yours, did your beard turn white or no? Because mine didn't.
Fuck.
Mine was
I don't
brown.
remember, but I don't think it turned white either. It's crazy
Kind
that
of
didn't
bugged,
retain
kind of
that.
bugged me.
Did
I'm
it?
not gonna lie. That cut. That's one thing that I thought of and in the scene when I probably shouldn't have been focusing on something like that. But I was like, why isn't his beard matching his hair?
He dyes it.
Did you guys like that reveal?
Yeah, it was great. I think the way they did it, it catches you off guard because I know I was caught off guard. Was not expecting that at all because literally throughout this whole game, you think that he's talking to you, and they do such a great job of that. So then when you find this out, you're like, what? Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
Like throughout this whole time, like, yeah, you've been making decisions, but really his actual personality is the one that's making it. And you're like, fuck, dude, it's like John said, man, the shock factor in this whole shit is just mind-blowing, man. It's just mind-blowing.
I think the thing I liked most about this is that it kind of gives some credence as to why York is so quirky when
Mhm.
you meet him, because it's not really his personality. It's like a facade almost,
Right.
and him being a character of himself. So that was kind of cool that it's not just them being over the top, super, super goofy, that it's, kind of just, it's a personality trait of something that he's using to cope.
Yeah,
Neither of you guys saw this coming?
No. Hell no.
No. Did you when you first played?
No way. It blew my mind the first time I played.
I bet you were like, this is the greatest game ever. I love this game. Dude. So good.
Completely caught me off guard. But
I'm
yeah,
so glad
John,
we played this game.
I do agree with you that it's a cool way of explaining why Zach is the way he is. After the reveal, we are back in the community center. Zach is on the stage. We see his white hair, and he remembers that he traded places with York. So that's why we were seeing York the entire game. York was in control, protecting Zach. Another small reveal in this is York's scar. We finally found out how he got his scar.
But it's actually way more drastic on Zach.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's like cutting through his. It actually looks like it messed up
damaged
his
his
eye.
eye. It
Yeah,
did.
and like it's super, super prevalent instead of just being like, oh, it messed up his hairline. It's just like you can see the full scar.
With York, the scar was there on the side, but not all the way through like it is with Zach. With Zach, as you said, it comes through the eye, and he has two different eye colors, most likely because of that scar that was given to him.
Right.
But since we're back on the stage, we're also back to this harrowing situation. We have to make a choice. You have 3 to choose from. With your gun, you can aim and shoot at Kaysen. You can point the gun at your own head, or you can point the gun at Emily. What did you guys choose?
It wasn't really that hard of a choice. I point that shit at Emily, man. I got to do what Dad says.
So I actually had a tough time choosing, but I ultimately ended up pointing the gun at Emily.
I pointed the gun at Emily as well. And guys, that is the correct choice. I'm going to tell you exactly what happens if you choose the other two. If you aim your weapon at Kaysen, Emily's tree grows and she turns into that same husk.
Oh,
Really?
Game over.
Damn, I wish I would have done that.
Oh, it game overs you?
Yes.
Damn. Okay.
If you shoot yourself, you die, and Emily turns into that husk. So the correct choice is to aim your weapon at Emily.
I don't like that. If you're gonna give me choices, give me like.
You want Mass
branching.
Effect choices?
I want like branch. I mean, fuck it. If it's gonna lead to the same choice, that's fine. Whatever. But I don't like that it just game overs.
At the same time, they're not really giving you a choice. They gave you a choice, but not really. They've been kind of telling you the entire game. You need to purge the thing that
but
you
then
love.
just do it. If they're gonna force you into the choice of shooting Emily, then make me pull up my gun and shoot Emily.
I kind of like that. I kind of wish that they
Would have stuck with their guns?
Well, if they had you draw your weapon and then you get to aim at whoever you want to aim at. instead of giving you just the 3 options to choose from, have you actually just aim the weapon, similar to the battle with George, where all you could do was aim.
Yeah.
You can't move.
Right.
And that's how you make your choice.
Plus, you're pulling the trigger too.
Absolutely.
That emotional resonance that I've been talking about.
Now, would it be Zach doing it, or is it York doing it now?
Oh, dude, how about that, right?
Wow.
So how about that? How about that? You aim it at Kaysen,
Blew my
right?
mind.
And then it just like you see like York fucking York pull the
Move it
arm over.
Are you seeing him like do this? He's like fighting against himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, what if it's
Whoa.
York making the decision? Wow. I blew my own mind. I was like thinking about it, and I was like, no, I have to say it. Say it now.
With the weapon aimed at Emily, York says,
There are some things in this world that must be extracted, no matter what. Even if that means losing someone that you love.
York's in there just going, God damn it, Zach.
Fucker, I gave you.
I leave you for 2 seconds.
you can't even get the line right. He's over there with the book. Guys, where did he get extracted? It does not say extracted in here. York takes the shot and misses on purpose. He just can't shoot Emily. He can't bring himself to do it. But you know what? Doesn't matter, because Emily decides to take her own life. Emily wraps her hands around the tree in her abdomen and pulls it out at the root. All the way. And we get a fountain of blood. A crazy fountain of blood.
Yeah,
Fucking
that's
cool.
a lot of blood. You can't see her lower half because there's so much blood blocking the view of it.
Zach runs up to Emily, lifts her up, and we get, unfortunately, Emily's death scene.
Zach, I wasn't used as soil at all.
You're beautiful. Most beautiful person I've ever seen.
Thank you, Zach. I wanted to be with you.
How do you guys feel?
Sad, dude. They would have been so happy together.
A little sad, but I think right for the story. I like that they did that, even though it makes me sound like a fucking serial killer. But I think it was. I like that they killed the broad. Dude, from the start of the section all the way like up to this point, I was just like, what? Like, there's just so much happening, and there's like overloaded right at this point because I'm like, holy fuck! Like, all right, Emily's dead now.
You almost don't have an ample amount of time to process everything.
No,
That's
like
going on.
literally 2 minutes before we just found out that fucking York is Zach, and now Emily's dead.
Right.
Like, give me a minute, dude. I need to process this. All right.
They really do throw so much at you in this chapter.
Yeah,
And there's even more to come.
I know.
With Emily dead, York enters a different reality. He's back in the forest. Emily is no longer in his hands. He looks up and he sees all the women, all the victims of the Raincoat Killer.
And Thomas.
Yes. And Thomas. Correct.
Right.
They're there in their red dresses, and Emily is now walking toward them in her own red dress.
York and Zach. Finally, I understand. You two really are best friends. I'm a little jealous.
But Emily is not alone, because after she talks to Zach, York shows up and is standing right next to Emily.
Hey, stand up, Zach. It's up to you now.
Emily, I finally got to meet you face to face. But you had to go with York, didn't you? He always gets the girl. He's a good guy. You see that too, right? He kept talking to me and ended up pulling me back out of that room. I'm sure he'll make you very happy.
Motherfucker slides in and takes the girl. Damn it.
Plan all along.
He's like, no, Zach, don't shoot Emily. No. All right, later, dude. I'm gone.
That scene symbolizes that York is letting Zach take the reins. He's stepping back. It is now up to Zach. Zach covers up Emily's body with his suit jacket. That's right, we're back at the stage. Emily is now gone. And even though Zach has been standing there, Kaysen now just realizes that Zach is back.
Why did you bring Zach back? Who the hell are you two? How did you get out of the Red Room?
Kaysen is so angry, he transforms. And yes, you heard that right. He transforms into this giant blob-looking monster. He's quick, though.
Humpty Dumpty.
Very quick, very nimble. He jumps up and latches himself to the wooden beams on the ceiling. We are now in another boss fight. And not just any boss fight. We're in phase 1. There's multiple phases. I'm just going to put that out there right now. We are facing Kaysen. First one is Humpty Dumpty form. The way this boss fight works is he's hanging from the ceiling and he'll shoot balls of energy at you, similar to the Crawling Shadows, or he'll do this roly-poly-oly roll at you and you have to quick time event your way out of that, or run out of the way if you can dodge early enough.
Which it's super telegraphed.
Yes.
So it's not that hard to dodge.
I actually allowed him to come into contact with me, so I'd have to do the quick time events just to make it a little more challenging.
I moved out of the way, but I wasn't, I guess, out of the way enough, and it triggered the quick time event one time. And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I
wasn't ready for
a
it.
second.
Caught me off guard the first time. The very first time, wasn't ready for it. Every other time, I was like, "Bring it on, Kaysen."
I wasn't ready for the first time of it either. I just kept shooting at him, and then I was like, "Okay." And then the quick time event happened, and I missed the quick time event, and he did damage me, and I was like, "Oh, well, good on you. Not letting that happen ever again."
That was the only time he damaged me. Was that one? No, incorrect. He damaged me one other time.
I don't think I took any damage this phase.
John with the quick fingers. This part of the boss fight, not difficult.
Nope.
You just got to shoot him. If you shoot him enough, he falls down. You can get a couple more shots in him. When you deplete his health bar, you think you're done, but not really. No way. Not going to be that easy. We're going to enter phase number 2. We get a little cutscene before phase number 2.
Could have stayed hidden in the White Room. Just like that senile old man. Humans are so foolish. So foolish. There's nothing to compare. With one whiff of that gas I made from the seeds, they happily kill each other. Even their neighbors, even the ones they love. Not much compared to the full effects of the seeds themselves, but I still got a really good laugh out of it. Anyway, I think we've had enough fun for today. But I really don't like having to exercise.
It's quite apparent.
You don't say.
Kaysen might not like exercising, but he loves evolving. That's what he does right now. He transforms again. He goes down onto all fours and then grows into this giant abomination. I don't even know how to describe it. How would you guys describe this?
There is no way to describe it.
Almost like a lizard or like a frog.
Yeah, kind of like a lizard. Like his Gene Simmons tongue is definitely there.
With some fucking troll doll hair.
He destroys the stage floor. Zach falls through all the way, lands at the bottom. We don't know where he is, but it's a long hallway. And there's a door at the end. He gets up. Kaysen right there behind him. Drops down. Giant monster. I mean, when I say giant, giant. This thing is huge. It's not like the roly-poly, the Humpty Dumpty version that we saw before. This one is way bigger. Kaysen starts chasing after York. York runs through the door, and we enter in the most unnecessarily long sequence in this entire game. You thought chasing Willie was bad?
I'll take Willie all day. You heard me.
John said it here, folks. He'd rather chase Willie than do this sequence. What this sequence contains is a very long spiral staircase. You have to run down it, and not just run down. You have to do it in the same way where you run from the Raincoat Killer, which is flicking the stick back and forth. While this is happening, Kaysen is chasing after you. He'll shoot the balls of energy at you. You have to press the correct button prompt to dodge them. And he'll also charge at you. And you'll enter in another QuickTime event with 2 buttons.
Mind you, he's running sideways on the wall, chasing after you down these stairs.
Yes, he's not on the stairs. He is Spider-Man clinging to the wall, chasing at you.
And he double backs around.
Yeah.
He doesn't only double back around. There's times where he tried to charge at me, hit the wall, fell down, and then somehow managed to come back.
Really?
Guys, your thoughts on this sequence?
Couldn't wait for it to be over. Because I was like, man, this is a little tedious here.
This was the point in time where I kept saying, please don't crash. Please don't crash. I do not want to do this again.
Same
I
here.
do not want to fucking do this again. This is when I noticed that it had been a really long time since there was any save point.
Praying to the gods.
This sequence could have been cut down so much. It did not need to be this long. When you're playing a section, and even in the back of your mind, when you start to say this could end, but it's not even a full-fledged thought yet, your section has gone on way too long already. It should never creep into your mind that a section is too long.
I wanted to take Zach and run him off the edge.
Well, the thing is, not only is just the section obnoxious, you're doing the same exact thing for over and over again, but it's not like you're even just running and holding a direction. You're hitting the stick back and forth. So you're like, okay, okay, and then you're like, you keep doing it, and it's just like my arm was getting tired at this point. I was like, what? Why is this happening?
And it ends in the most dull way possible. It's just him jumping through another door. No cool way of avoiding or dodging this giant Kaysen beast. Just dives through another door and somehow ends up at the top of the clock tower.
Yeah, you're running downstairs. How do you get to the top? I didn't even think about that. What the shit?
Like I said, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess, you know, Kaysen's a fucking giant lizard, Frackle Rock hair. And I'm criticizing running downstairs to go up. Yeah.
Now that Zach is at the top of the clock tower, he's looking around. He doesn't know what to do. Kaysen tries to charge him, but Zach dodges. Kaysen barrels right off of the clock tower. Of course, we're not done. We have phase number 3 to look forward to.
I love this part.
Guys, you saw Humpty Dumpty Kaysen. You saw Lizard Beast Kaysen. What did you think was going to come in this 3rd phase?
I figured what was going to happen, but I said the line from the Ghostbusters in my head. I'm sorry, I couldn't get it out of my head. I just thought, sitting around the fire, marshmallows, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And I died to myself.
He fell over the edge, and I was like, give me a giant Kaysen right now. Give me a giant Kaysen. That's what I want.
And they delivered.
Ask and you shall receive.
I will say, I thought he'd be more of a monster looking than what he was, but that's fine.
I'll agree with you, John. I was hoping for a more grotesque form of Kaysen, because that first Humpty Dumpty form was really disgusting, and then it got even more absurd with the second form. This third form, I was thinking, a giant,
what are they gonna do now?
Monster, and no, it's just giant Kaysen. Giant Kaysen. But whatever, I wanted to shoot him in his face anyway.
Facts.
Unfortunately, we don't get to shoot him in his face.
Well, kind of.
Kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
Giant Kaysen spawns up. He knocks the top of the clock tower off, breaks most of the platform, but there's still enough for you to stand on. The way this part of the boss fight goes is Giant Kaysen is holding his Kaysen toy in his right hand. You have to shoot the Kaysen doll.
No!
What? Crazy. It's like we haven't been gamers for years on years on years. Kaysen will move back and forth in front of you. He'll shoot those energy balls at you again. And he has one more attack, which is slamming the platform and sending out green shockwaves. And you have to avoid them. Overall, this isn't a tough fight. It was recommended that you guys get the Magnum, but I feel like you could definitely do it with the pistol. It would just take a whole lot longer.
It just took forever.
Did you do it with the pistol?
Yes.
You did it?
It just took forever.
You didn't use the Magnum?
No.
Wow, Devon.
In lieu of Camero telling us that we probably should, I didn't. Not because I didn't want to, but because, honestly, I completely forgot to. And literally thought to myself as I was doing it, I was like, man, I wonder how the Magnum would be working right now.
So I took her advice because I was future-proofing my annoyances and was like, if for some reason it is difficult or God forbid there's something that is super annoying, I just want to be able to have the Magnum as a backup so I could just fucking blow through it. So I bought it. I attempted to do it with the pistol, but I had some issues at this part, glitch-wise. I didn't have any crashes, but it was not nice to me. The aiming was the biggest issue because playing on whatever version I have, I can only aim so much, so I have to do a lock-on to get higher. But when you lock on, it goes over to big Kaysen. So I have to I was trying to aim at little Kaysen, then can't get high enough, lock on, go to big Kaysen, then move the cursor back over to try to shoot in that area. On top of that, some of the times where he would hit the ground and the shockwaves would come, they were invisible. So I had no clue where they were. And I would just try to run and pick a spot and I would get hit sometimes. So it was a little frustrating.
We probably had to complete it in the same amount of time.
Probably. So I just said, fuck it. And I was like, I'm just going to use the Magnum. If this is going to be the way it is, I'm going to just bypass some of the health.
That was a smart move on John's part.
Very smart move on
Thank
John's
you, Camero. Appreciate it.
Thank you
for the advice.
Thank you for the advice. I'm sorry that I didn't listen.
Even with the Magnum, this fight takes a little while.
You can only imagine.
With his health depleted all the way, the boss fight is still not over. We have one more thing to do. Giant Kaysen will turn his back to you and hide the Kaysen doll. Where did he hide it? In his overalls. When he turns back around, you can see his front pocket sticking out. But how are you going to get there? Well, Giant Kaysen will slam the platform again, sending out the green shockwaves. As long as you dodge them, or maybe if you get hit, it doesn't really matter. His hand is out there for quite some time. You can climb up his hand and run all the way up to his shoulder and aim down to his pocket. Fire that last little shot into Kaysen's toy.
It's like Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're like me and you mess it up the first time and you can't get a proper shot. So you get a 3-button QuickTime event.
Oh.
That ends in Zach jumping back onto the platform, Kaysen's toy refilling some of its health, and going back into his right hand.
Really?
Wow.
Yep. So you have to deplete the health all over again for him to hide the toy, for him to turn back around, slam the ground, climb up again, and finally get the shot.
Wow. That sucks.
Yeah, that was annoying. Because it was an obnoxious amount of health. It wasn't just a shot or two. It was almost a third of his health.
Wow.
It's still going?
Wow, that's definitely a third of his health.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Super obnoxious, dude.
Oh man,
I would have been pissed.
I know you would have been. What happened to you?
Well, I was gonna say because this part specifically, I had even more of a difficulty aiming.
Oh, because you had to aim at it. I didn't even think of that.
Dude, I couldn't get over there, and I kept trying to lock on, to try to do it, it would not like do the cursor focus to give me the spot. So I was about to be like, I don't know how I'm gonna pass this. I can't, like, I would be over the doll, wasn't doing it. It was like the most far left that I could hit. There's this one tiny little spot for like a split second. It went down, and I just pulled the trigger, and I was like, thank God that it did this. I was like,
Because
I
if
would
that
have
would have
been.
happened, oh man.
I'm glad you got that.
Yeah.
What a movie moment.
Yeah.
With that final shot, we have finally defeated Kaysen. To reward our efforts, we get a ridiculous cutscene. Kaysen's head flings back, and his jaws separate. And from out of his throat comes an eyeball and 2 tentacles. I should say those are the halves of his tongue.
It's like a piranha plant.
Kaysen doesn't understand how he's lost.
I don't understand why.
It's because you don't understand humans.
This is his coming to
Damn.
confidence moment.
In his full house moment, Zack fires one single bullet, and it slow-mo travels all the way through the eyeball sticking out of Kaysen's throat.
Is it an eyeball?
I thought it was an eyeball.
It looks like an eyeball, but I also thought it was kind of like a dandelion.
Yeah, I thought it was like some. I feel like I've seen something like that, like a plant.
It's very reminiscent of a plant, though.
I think it's a red eyeball. I could be totally wrong.
I
don't know. It could be a plant. I'm not sure. But it looks like an eyeball.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it does look like an eyeball.
Camera will tell us.
The eyeball, in a Michael Bay fashion, explodes. And York, oh man, and Zack slowly walks away from it.
Cool guys walk away from explosions.
With Kaysen defeated, the residents of Greenvale stop killing each other and causing mayhem. Peace has been brought to the town of Greenvale, guys.
I liked how the first person that they showed was holding a fireman axe.
So he's the raincoat killer?
We have one final cutscene in this chapter, and that is Zack standing over Emily's body.
Emily, York tries not to show it, but he's pretty shy. Don't wait for him to propose. Just ask him to marry you.
Zack picks up Emily, starts to walk away, but notices the Kaysen toy on the stage floor. And he steps on it as he walks away. Piece of shit.
Yeah, what a conceited fuck. Makes toys.
That is the end of chapter 25. We now just have the epilogue.
What a chapter.
What a chapter.
How happy were you guys to save, by the way?
Oh,
I was
so excited.
So happy.
I was fucking. Come on.
All right, we're diving right into the epilogue. We'll discuss the whole thing at the end of the podcast episode. So let's jump right in. Zack, standing in Harry's mansion, staring at the painting on the wall. The painting of all the women and Thomas, who identifies as a woman, maybe? I don't know. Could be.
Yeah.
You never know.
Never know.
Maybe just likes to dress in women's clothes, but identifies as men. Who knows?
No
But they're
judgment.
all up there. They're all up there. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Can we just say Zack has his head like wrapped and he's bandaged and everything? He looks straight like Christopher Walken in Deer Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Like just just traumatized, dude.
I didn't see it until now, and now I won't unsee it. Damn it. Damn it, John.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. I was like, damn.
Harry rolls on up, literally.
Harry, I have a few questions for you.
About what, Zack?
Your last name isn't really Stewart, is it?
Yeah, that is correct. It's really Woodman. Harry Woodman. George was my son.
A melon exploded. Was not expecting any of that. And as soon as it happened, I said, hello.
There was no teasing into this. It just
No.
fucking was like, yep, here's my son. I was like, whoa, again, like we're a minute into this epilogue and you're fucking dropping this shit, dude.
I'm the armored
God
titan,
damn.
and he's the colossal titan. You know what I'm saying? So I can just.
What's kind of weird, I was thinking about after this, is if we are to believe that Harry's dad was the original Raincoat Killer, that means George's grandfather was the original, and he's taking over the mantle. It's like runs in the fucking family, dude.
Yep.
Runs in the family. It was fated. It was meant to be.
You know what I liked though? What theory I liked was, I forget if it was Devon or if it was UP, but saying that maybe Tillotson was actually his dad, and that he had like the eternal youth.
Yep.
And that like it's like that would actually make sense too with the finger wagging, and it would be like running in the whole fucking family right there. It'd been cool. That'd been neat. It'd been very cool.
But no, they didn't do that.
Well, they didn't not do it either.
True.
You were there in the White Room when I was there. Why?
The same reason as your father. Long ago, I too was unable to shoot my wife. What's worse is that I was also unable to kill myself. Which is why I lost both. The woman I loved and my son. My wife suffered from a mental illness, but I still loved her. I wanted to save George too, if I could. Everything was my fault. If only I had the courage to make the right decision, Emily and the other girls would not have died.
So when he's referencing his wife, he is talking about George's mom, right?
Correct.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. All right. I'm making sure that George's mom isn't some side piece, that he was dipped into in the town.
Greasing his wheels. Get it because he's in a wheelchair.
Oh,
I thought it was funny. He's greasing his wheels, you know what I'm saying?
The next scene, Zach is in the limo. Michael Tillotson is driving. Zach looks out the window and sees Emily in the woods. He gets the limo to stop, walks out there, and finds Isaac, Isaiah, and their grandfather.
And Willie.
And Willie. And Willie.
Willie's got some new owners.
Willie's with some better people now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't quite know where Cation is, but he left his dog.
I don't know how much better, but better.
All right.
Isaac and Isaiah are talking to nothing.
Give it to him yourself. He's right next to you.
Oh, okay. I understand. We'll do it for you.
With what they were given by this imaginary person, they run over to Zach.
Emily kind of told us to give this to you.
Emily said it's a present for Zach.
Thank you. Where did you get this?
Emily asked us to give it to you. See? She's over there.
I find this kind of weird. Everyone is so comfortable with calling him Zach. Like, they're just so comfy with it. They're just like, oh, well, yeah, we've
I was confused by this too, Devon.
I
still don't fully get the what we saw, what was real as far as
right, exactly, and that's what my theory was.
Let me address that for you. You right now.
Okay.
All right. Zach is thinking everyone is addressing him as York.
Oh, but they're visually perceiving him as Zach, but we're perceiving him as York.
We are inside the mind, so we are only seeing what Zach sees. Zach keeps calling his granddaughter Emily, where her name is Michelle Louise Morgan. But if you flash back to the end of episode 1, chapter 7, by the way, spoiler alert, her name is Michelle Louise Morgan. It's not Emily. His granddaughter's name is not Emily. But at the end of episode 1, chapter 7, you hear the mother of Emily / Michelle say, Emily, time for dinner, because Zach is only hearing what he wants to hear. He hears the mother calling her Emily.
So that's my issue with this whole like plot twist thing, is that he's such an unreliable narrator. Like, where does it stop as far as what's real and what's not? Like,
That's
how do
the
we
point.
know that?
It's
No,
like
I
fucking
understand, but it's
Inception,
like
dude.
Crazy. He is
It's like
absolutely
Inception.
insane.
He is. He's a psychopath.
We don't know what to trust.
called it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you did call it. You did call
Yeah,
it.
you did.
No,
You're
but
right. How did he pass the FB?
That'll lend way into my theory, by the way.
Okay.
But yes, Zach is an unreliable narrator. A horribly unreliable narrator.
That's why you love him. This motherfucker.
Isaac and Isaiah, they hand him the necklace, Emily's necklace. That same necklace that we saw Zach give his granddaughter. And I say that because obviously it's not York who is the grandfather. It's Zach who is the grandfather of that little girl.
This goddamn game.
The twins tell Zach where they got the necklace. They point over to Emily and the other goddesses of the forest, along with York and Thomas.
That's good.
There's another Zach there too. You're twins, just like us.
Emily couldn't give it to you herself. She said she's too embarrassed. So, she asked us to hand it to you.
Emily really likes you, Zach. She really likes you.
No, she doesn't. Not me. She really likes that guy York, the guy you see standing next to her.
After that interaction, the twins and the grandfather walk away, and Zach has some parting words for Emily and York.
Emily, York, sounds like you're both doing fine. I feel better about you two now. And hey, York, I figured out why George carried Anna's body all the way into the woods.
It was for them. He wanted Isaac and Isaiah to find her.
Which is actually really fucked up.
Yeah.
Super
because
fucked up.
you murdered that woman, left her on display because you wanted two little kids to find her.
Scumbag.
Michael Tillotson walks up, asks if Zach is ready for the ride, and Zach dismisses him because he wants to look around for a little bit. AKA, the game wants us to drive all the way to the next waypoint. We have to drive all the way to the hotel. When you get there, Zach is in bed, and you get the option to talk. I imagine you guys took that option.
Of course.
Yeah.
York, tonight I'm going to sleep like a baby.
York speaks back to him.
Zach, it's over. All finished. It's time for you to leave town. Are you ready to go?
I imagine both of you guys hit that yes.
Please
so
give me the
quickly.
fuck
Get
out of
me
Green.
out of this town.
Then this is goodbye, Zach.
Thank you for everything.
Good night, Zach. And sleep tight.
Once you make the selection to leave town, Zach is checking out of the hotel. He sees a photograph behind Polly, who's standing at the counter getting everything ready for him. And in that photograph is Kaysen.
Polly, what's that picture?
Oh, that. We took it when the clock tower was built.
50 years ago?
That's right. That's me in the middle. I was pretty popular back then. Men were always around me.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, go ahead, John. Go ahead. Maybe it's something I was thinking too. Go ahead. Break it down, sir.
So it focuses on the picture,
Yeah.
right on Kaysen.
Yep.
Being in the picture there.
Yep.
Where the clock tower was built 50 years ago.
Yep.
He comes and stays at this hotel all the fucking time.
Yep.
How the hell does she not recognize him? Or try to address the fact that he
Motherfucker,
is
you
the
young.
the exact same age that he was 50 years ago.
At the same time, what is Zach really seeing?
He's
Like
probably
now
just
or then?
perceiving- He's probably
Exactly.
just perceiving that as
He could be perceiving that photo as a young Kaysen.
the way we're
Just
thinking.
when I thought this game wasn't going to be annoying, it becomes the most annoying because now you can't trust anything. Oh, good.
It's a great phrase that you just used there. Love it.
With Zach checked out of the hotel, he's on the bridge, heading out of Greenville. I guess he's just walking out. He goes to smoke a cigarette, but he doesn't really want a cigarette because we find out it was York who liked to smoke cigarettes, not Zach.
I was gonna say, I thought he was gonna throw it off the bridge.
Keeps it for later. Zach begins walking away. We see Willie come up with the Kaysen toy in his mouth. Willie looks kind of sad. There's nothing that can be done. Zach is gone. Willie turns and heads back into town. The camera zooms out.
We get the same ladybug that flew away in the beginning.
Yes, the same ladybug. In the beginning of the game, we see it fly again. And that part of the story is done. And I'm going to let you guys know, in the original game, that was the end.
I think I would have preferred that.
Yeah.
This felt very weird and unneeded. I don't know.
Yeah. Which is why I don't mind the director's cut scenes being cut out or retconned.
Yeah, it didn't even feel real necessary.
But we're back with Zach, grandfather Zach, and little Emily, a.k.a. Michelle, as we know now. Her real name is Michelle. She's happy she heard the story. She wants to ask something.
Hey, Grandpa, can I ask you something? What kind of person is York?
York is a real nice guy. He's been a good friend of mine since I was small.
Like Mr. Teddy?
Yes, just like Mr. Teddy. A very important friend.
Boom! Black cut.
Yeah.
A very awkward black cut.
Yeah.
Of course, the game can't even end during the credits. This is where we get the reveal that Emily, the granddaughter, is not named Emily. We find out that her real name is Michelle Louise Morgan. Apparently, Zach just calls her Emily. I think this is supposed to help you understand, even though it's kind of hard to grasp unless you really look into it. Or you remember one of the original cutscenes where Michelle's mother called her Emily.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear it from this point of view, this is like the actual different point of view. This is not Zach's point of view when you're hearing this conversation.
Right.
So now we're hearing something real, something you can trust. Michelle tells her mother,
He's calling me Emily again.
Oh dear, he must be losing his memory. You are Louise, honey. Michelle Louise Morgan. Not Emily. You know that, right?
I know my own name, Mom.
You know that Zach hears what he wants to hear.
It's weird though because she actually says your name's Louise, Michelle Louise Morgan. So these people go by their middle names for some reason.
Yes.
I don't know why.
York, Zach,
yeah,
Louise. At the end of the credits, we see York and Emily in Nick's Diner. They went on that date that he said he was going to take her on to Nick's Diner.
Hey.
Aw. By the way, I was wrong. This scene, the scene in the diner with Emily and York and the goddesses and Thomas. That part is in the
original game.
That part was in the original game, but the other stuff with Louise and the grandfather and all that was not.
And the extended part of
the extended part of this scene. Serving them is Anna, and behind them are all the goddesses and Thomas. To close it out, Emily and York kiss. Finally. Melts your heart. Except for the fact that you remember that Kaysen's tongue was down there.
Oh, now I can't. Good God.
Well, technically not really, because this is just, she's a ghost now at this point, so.
Very true. It's an ethereal body. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, if it was there in real life, it carried over.
It's there in spirit. This scene is extended.
So creepy. So creepy. It's like, who the fuck is this old dude standing in the fucking diner looking at us?
In the diner is old man Zach. Zach is there looking at all of them, and he smiles, walks toward them. And I took this as maybe Zach dying.
Yes,
Because
that's
he's
what I took it as,
joining
too.
all of them.
Correct.
Except that immediately changes with the very next scene. Because there's still one more thing, and it's York talking to Zach, and he tells him,
Did you see the newspaper today? As it turns out, over the last 3 months, there's been a string of bizarre incidents near New Orleans. Residents there are reporting a sudden strike of nausea, and then they completely lose control of their bodies. Some have already had 2 months of only being able to walk backwards. Does that make you feel anything? It makes me feel something. I know you feel it too, Zach.
after York says that, you get 3 options. You can say, of course I feel it. Are you testing me, York? So when do we leave? What did you guys pick?
Last one. So when do we leave?
I picked the same thing.
I felt like a badass saying that. So when do we get it on?
Oh, you picked it too, John?
Yeah.
Nice, nice. This makes it seem that Zach didn't die and that there's still more to go.
Or that they're just continuing their shenanigans in the afterlife.
Very true. Right? They're just going to New Orleans, finding other spirits and whatnot.
I'd watch that buddy cop movie of just both of them just fucking strolling around.
That'd be dope. The old timer. What a great game.
And now I do want to talk a little bit about that last final scene. The sequel is supposed to take place in New Orleans.
Really?
Yes. It's supposed to take place in 2 settings, New Orleans and Boston.
Yes, Boston.
And also 2 time periods. When you're in Boston, you play as York in the past. When you're in New Orleans, you're in the present day, and you're playing as that female FBI agent, and she is interviewing Zach. Both sides are around the same case, but you won't find out everything until the end.
Oh, man. John, you got to get a Switch.
But I don't know why the director's cut scenes have been retconned, so something that they've shown in here must have changed. Maybe he doesn't have a family. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
Or it makes sense, like if everybody pretty much interpreted it as him dying, they're just straight up. I would say you're probably more right, where it's more of the doesn't have a family portion. We'll see.
That's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to play that one.
But enough about the sequel. Let's talk about the game we just beat, guys. We finished it. We're done.
We did it. What a fucking journey, dude.
Lay it all out there. What did you think? Where do you want to start?
Well, I still have a question.
Yes.
So back in the theater, when Zach comes out, Kaysen says, "How did you get out of the red room?" So how does Kaysen know about the red room? How does he know that Zach was in the red room? Like, obviously, yes, Kaysen had knowledge of Zach previously because of what he did to his parents. Has he been following him his whole life? Like, is he
keeping tabs on him?
I think he has, and you have to remember, Kaysen brought York to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
What's to stop him from bringing baby York or baby Zach to the hospital way back then? Because it's not like he needed to kill him then. Not like baby Zach could do anything.
Right.
So if he took him to the hospital, because you got to think, how did Zach survive that encounter? It could have just been to toy with him, and he knew about Zach's history, that Zach was hiding, that Zach kind of underwent a change. And maybe he heard about the Red Room.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know. I would say at least for his adult life, maybe he and Kaysen, or at least Kaysen would be following him because Zach is essentially following him from all around the nation with the red trees.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I guess there's that.
Like, I want to play through it again because, like you said, you see all the little breadcrumbs sprinkled in now since you played it a second time. So you see everything that they lay out for you. I want to see that again, right?
Yeah.
Like, just go through and be like, damn, right there. Holy shit. Like I said before, it's like watching a TV show and now it's done. You're just like, wow.
Yeah. I think to fully appreciate and get the most out of the game, it kind of deserves a second playthrough because it's a twist in the sense of not one that you can really see coming. So the fact that you can't see it coming, you kind of have to watch again. It's actually a little reminiscent, and I was just having this thought here of Memento, in the fact of like at the end you find out the twist of it. Spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen it and doesn't want to get spoiled, but what if it is kind of set up like Memento, where York or Zach is actually the killer, and he goes to these towns and he almost creates a suspect to find and capture and kill, right? Because everything would kind of point to that as far as like the FK in the coffee, like it's giving him the hint as far as who to go to. There's a lot of different hints pointing towards Forrest Case, and it's like that's the person. He maybe subliminally got his out of the picture behind Penny, or was it Penny? Like he sees that, and now that person he is made up as Polly. Now he's made up as someone like the suspect. Like it's all these things being put together that he's now making as a suspect for him to track down and kill, because he's a killer, but also he's trying to be the hero at the same time.
Whoa. You want York to be the killer.
I do want York to be the killer.
All right, great.
As we went through it, there were definitely times where I thought, oh, I could definitely see how John thinks that York or Zach is the killer. It kind of is in there in a way, and I never saw it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool to see your perspective and view the game in a different light.
Yeah.
Because as you would say certain things, I would think, oh, yeah, wow, I never even looked at it like that. And if I did, I would think the exact same thing as John.
Like what would you say specifically?
Like you said, he would go into a building, be alone with the person, and then everyone would show up afterward.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, York is in that mysterious realm, the mysterious shadow realm, so you don't know what he's really doing.
Right.
And I liked one of the theories that we came up with, which was, what if York is in control, but then Zach takes over, and now York is fighting his way to gain control of the body again?
Yeah.
Like, that's a crazy theory that it could have happened. It just didn't.
Right.
But it was cool to see it that way and leading up to it. I'm gonna lay out my theory for you guys.
Yes, let's fucking hear this. I've been waiting for this.
Okay, so we all know part of it is Zach is an unreliable narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? We play this entire game through Zach's perspective. From the very start of the game, what's the first thing that happens?
He flipped his car.
No, before
you mean
even
like,
that.
where he says like, hi, Zach, or whatever. Like, yeah.
And what do you have to do?
You have to hit A.
Answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which means that we are playing from Zach's view.
Right.
When Zach was younger, Zach experienced crazy trauma.
Uh-huh.
Right? So his mind is already warped. He was a kid when he saw his parents die. He has no idea what is going on. He doesn't know what's real. He doesn't know what's fake. He was so traumatized that he created another personality to help carry him through life. Which means everything supernatural in this game not happening.
Right.
I like to think that Zach knew who Kaysen was. Zach knew that Kaysen was responsible for it. But that scene with his parents is not really how it went down.
With Kaysen?
Yeah, with Kaysen. Like,
okay.
I think he definitely saw Kaysen. His dad definitely shot himself. Mom definitely died. But I think the mom killed herself.
Okay.
She asked Xander to shoot her, and he wouldn't do it. So she killed herself. Because she killed herself.
Red tree,
instead of the red tree.
Yeah. Okay.
Because she killed herself, that's why Xander decided to end his life. The red tree, I think, symbolizes pregnancy.
I was thinking the same, or like miscarriages
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I was thinking.
So because she was pregnant with Kaysen's child, who Kaysen probably raped her.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I think, is that Kaysen raped her, planted the seed.
Yeah.
She didn't want to have that. She also didn't want to live with the thought that she was raped and impregnated by Kaysen, asked Xander to kill her. He didn't do it. She took her own life, and then he killed himself. And Zach is left with the idea that it was all Kaysen's fault. But he suppresses that memory, creates this other personality, York. They become an FBI agent. They investigate the country. Notice how whenever he's getting closer to finding out the truth, he runs into mysterious shadows.
Mm-hmm.
That's Zach battling his demons because he's finally about to face the truth of what happened back
About
then.
to face his reality.
When we get to Emily, same thing happened. She is raped, knows that she's been soiled, has the plant in there, symbolizing the pregnancy. When he can't kill her, she decides to kill herself. And they show it in the way where she rips out the tree.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that she did it a different way. But still, that's what Zach sees, and he's an unreliable narrator, and he's basically exaggerating everything that comes across him. Because remember that they talk about movies constantly. All the movies they saw, all the crazy horror movies they saw.
Yeah.
So Zach's mind is out there, and he's just dramatizing everything to ridiculous proportions.
Holy shit. Wow.
I was thinking similar with like the like you were saying with like the plant representing pregnancy, but like I was saying, maybe it was like a miscarriage or even like an abortion or something like that, as far as like that could have been the whole thing, as far as I guess why I don't even know, like Zach's parents in the first, I don't, dude, that's
it's a solid one.
Now, on top of that, let me add to it.
Jesus.
The reason why I think Zach's mom and Emily killed themselves is because of Harry, his woman, and George. She gets raped by Kaysen. Harry can't kill her. He can't purge her, but she doesn't kill herself. She decides to have the kid. She hates the kid. She beats the kid.
So you're saying George is actually Kaysen's son?
Yes. But it was Harry's woman, and so he believes that it was his son, like his son, because she gave birth to him.
Wow.
I'd have to sit and think about this whole thing. It's definitely a good
yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the theory?
It's a really good theory.
Yeah. I like it.
I just want to know what Sweary 65 thinks, dude. I need to know. I need to know where his head was at.
But I mean, it also lends credence if he's like a serial rapist that goes around the country, right? He's obviously creepy enough with Emily and the shit he said there, where it would lend credence to that, definitely.
All right.
Yeah. So I think the reason why Harry calls George his son is because that was his woman. She chose to have the baby, and they gave George his last name. Doing the York over there. I love it.
I definitely think there's, the game is what it is as far as like it's a quasi horror detective mystery, but I think it is also like a metaphor for something else, like what you're saying. I think there's some things to that. That's a good theory. I like it.
That's one of the reasons why I love this game so much, because I came up with that theory and I just thought it fit really well, and I was
fits perfectly with
so
it.
pumped.
It's just weird that every dude is trying to murder his wife that got raped, or was going to shoot his wife that got
I know.
raped.
Well, more so not murder, but the woman is asking to be killed.
Yeah.
Right.
Then again, we don't know if Harry's girl asked to be killed.
Right.
Because all he said was, I couldn't do it. I couldn't end her life. And she didn't kill herself like Emily and York's mom did.
Damn.
What if?
I love it.
Going off this theory, right?
Yep.
Because I'm trying to think like the difference between Zach's mom and Emily, right? Or even George's mom, right? George's mom and Zach's mom died in the same way, and Emily died the other way. What if? So you're saying Kaysen raped Zach's mom. What if when they die by the plant, it means that they had the child, and when Emily ripping it out means that she essentially aborted the child herself. So
Yeah.
maybe there's a little Kaysen running around from or maybe, I don't know, Zach's mom had the baby.
Which makes me wonder, because we found George's mom the same way,
right?
What if Kaysen came back? Kaysen always
Oh,
comes
did it
back to the
again?
town,
Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
and she couldn't handle it the second time. But George obviously has a love for his mom that he keeps the body.
I don't know, man. This is getting deep. Jesus.
Getting deep like the roots.
Like Kaysen.
I did not like that image. I did not like that image at all. The ultimate dessert.
But I think getting away from the theories,
Right.
in general.
Let's talk
as a
about the game,
whole.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. The game, I've the entire time tried to separate the port from the game, right?
Which is
Shitty
tough.
port,
I totally
yes.
understand. Yep.
Especially towards the beginning when it was like getting right into it. I think the twist, what I was saying earlier, the twist of York being a figment of Zach's imagination, kind of, at least for me, my issues at the beginning with York being so quirky and over the top kind of aligns that a little better. I tried to put it into like a 2009 mindset as well, like at least with like the gameplay wise,
Yep.
because you can't expect it to play the same way as games today or anything like that. So it is a, I would say like a AA game, not a AAA by any standard. So there's some gameplay stuff that's not up to par of what you would be like great gameplay wise. But I think what they lack in maybe polish and anything like that, they definitely make up with like uniqueness and attention to detail. I think those are the two biggest compliments I can give the game. There's definitely been high points and a lot of low points for me in the game and playing it. But you've said this before that you're not going to play a story anywhere like this, and I haven't come across a story that's that is like it. So I'm not super high on it. I'm not super low on it as I was, but it's unique and there's definitely attention to detail as far as in the town itself. Like the one I always bring up is when you first call that meeting at the theater, like they give you the time frame, and if you show up there early, you can actually see everybody pulling their cars up, parking, and going inside. Like that's pretty cool. You don't really see, especially back in 2009, a lot of games doing that. The only one I could say would be like GTA doing something along the lines of that, but that's even more of a generalized thing. Like this is more of a focused town on like a schedule and stuff. So that was cool. Story details as far as what we've talked about. A lot of things have, even though it's weird, they've stayed pretty consistent with matching up to it. So taking time to create a story that's going to be hold up to scrutiny is definitely appreciated, especially when you're asked to put some time into it.
I agree with you on the world building aspect.
Mm-hmm.
They did a great job creating unique characters that actually live in this world. And when you look at the game without those combat sections, you have a really strong piece, because it's really the combat sections that kind of drag down the experience. Not that they're absolutely bad. It's just that we talked about it before. There are sections that go on for too long,
Yeah.
And it starts to suck out the fun or the intensity. They definitely have moments where the combat sections are enjoyable, like the first boss fight or the boss fight with George. Those parts are fun. The first introduction of the crawling shadow is interesting because it's a total change. But then they commit the mistake of forcing you to go through it over and over and over again.
Yep.
Not so much the boss fights, but other things such as
Right.
tirelessly throwing enemies at you. I wish I could imagine what the game would be like the way Swery had originally conceived it, without the combat sections and just with the investigation portions and the world interaction portions. I wish I could see that. Do I like the combat sections? Yes, but do I understand why other people don't? Absolutely, because they can be tiresome and they can be obnoxious.
I do think that some of their open world stuff is set up a little annoying as well too. If it was a little bit better laid out, even if there was a map that you could
zoom all
just
the way
have,
out.
like, yep, or just like, you know, place a marker and be able to see like where you're going and stuff, like that would have made it been able to navigate a little easier. And I think it would have enticed me maybe to go and look around, but I just did not enjoy going around the town, even though now hearing all the stuff that you can find, it's cool. And if I were to ever play it again, I definitely would do that. But things they could have improved on.
I think what they put together here, story wise, full fleshed out twists, turns, the way they make the characters intertwine with each other and like their stories are all like, you can tell it's a small town, right? You feel like, you know, it's a small town, countryside. Everyone knows everybody, mom and pop shops all over the place. It's like a family aspect to everyone here. Everyone's together and you're the one anomaly that's there. And you have to learn everything. And not just one person, two people are learning, and really three because we're playing. And now he's given the reins to go, like, here you go. I think you're ready for this. Like, I think you can do this now. And it's like, can he? Can he really at this point?
You're talking about Zach.
I'm talking
being
about
out
Zach,
there.
yeah. Can he really at this point? Is he going to be able to survive out there with everything that's happened? And it's like, man, I don't know. But I think this is probably, I said it before, I think the story here was probably one of the best stories I've played in a game. I think this story was great. Mind-blowing moments, shock factor was there. I was like, you didn't really see any of it coming. And I think that was like the biggest thing and biggest impact for me. I was like, damn, that's great. And like I said, I want to go back and play through to see those little breadcrumbs that they left throughout the game, because they're definitely there. You just have to go out and search for it. It's not just doing the main missions. You have to go out and you have to actually go through, talk to people, and do all the side stuff.
I like what you said about the shock factor, because I do like that this game has the twist that it has, but none of the twists seem outlandish.
Right.
Or just being there for the sake of having a plot twist. Like, we've all seen that movie or played that game where someone turns bad and you think, like, you just did that so you could be like, oh, I'm actually the bad guy. And this is a part of the story that we need to go over. I think all of the twists in this game were earned. And I think if you guys ever do decide to play through it again, you'll see that.
Now we got to get your perspective, Pete, coming from a guy that's fully played it a second time through. Did you like it the first time? Did you like it better the second time? What's your take on this?
So I loved it the first time. The second time, I loved it. I think I loved it a little more only because I love the game so much. I have such a nostalgic feeling with this game. Like, going back and playing a game that I beat so many years ago, you just have that hope that it lives up to the standard that you created in your head. Yeah. And it did, especially because I did remember the poor controls and the poor driving and the wonkiness and the jankiness of the game. But it was everything that I remembered it to be, and it was everything that I enjoyed experiencing back then. So going through it now, expecting the twists, knowing that York as Zach and seeing just the different interactions, you think, oh, wow, like that's crazy. I can't believe that they hinted at that right there, or that they did this right here. I'm trying to think of specific things, but the most obvious ones are George cutting the wire. And, you know, you look at that and you say, that's super suspicious originally. But if you didn't catch it, when you go
he just
through
looks like
it
he's
again,
trying to save her.
yeah,
but,
like he's trying to save her.
Right.
And now you're thinking, oh, you knew exactly what that was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Him bumping into the statue.
Which, again, can look like a mistake, but maybe he actually aimed for the statue knowing that was going to happen. George hiding out at Diane's art gallery because he's the one staking that place out. And I liked seeing you guys experience it for the first time. Obviously, I already went through it all. I knew what was coming, but hearing you guys piece things together was great to listen to. It was awesome to hear your theories and hear your reactions. Watch the streams that you guys did. It was a lot of fun because you guys got to experience something that I keep dear to my heart because this is one of my favorite games that I've ever played. Guys, any last words you want to say on this adventure through Deadly Premonition?
Deadly Premonition 2.
I can see where it got a bad rap when it first came out. It is unfortunately something I think you really have to play till the end to fully appreciate. Right. So if you play even half of it, like I've said from the start, you know, if I wasn't forced to play this game, quote unquote forced, but like if we weren't doing this, then I wouldn't have kept up and played with it. So, you know, I'm glad this is what the game club does. You know, this is
what it does. It gets us in to play these games.
I definitely understand its criticisms. I definitely understand its love, you know, that it gets. So it's a good time. You know, I've definitely warmed up to the game.
Awesome.
Great to hear, John. We knew you would. Never had a doubt in our minds.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the season finale for the BWG Game Club featuring Deadly Premonition. I'm going to let you all know that if you stay tuned to our Twitter and our Instagram, and if you're in our Discord as well, you will find out what the next game is. We will put the announcement out there to everyone. So stay tuned to our social medias. We're going to tell you exactly the section we're playing to, because if you want to play that game with us, you can.
Hell yeah.
We'll tell you exactly what we're playing to. You can do it. And if you join our Discord by clicking the link in the YouTube description or the link in the description of the listening platform that you are using, let us know that you did it. Talk to us. Discuss the game with us. We're going to take whatever you say. We're going to use it in our episodes. If you ask any questions, we'll definitely bring those up, give you a little mention. We'll get your name out there, just like we did with Kemro, because she's awesome. And she's
shout out to the
yes.
unsung fucking MVP of this season.
Real,
Jesus
dude.
Christ. By the way, I cannot wait to go watch her video.
Yes.
I've been waiting since we saw it posted. I'm going to go watch the shit out of that and see what she has to say. Because if there's anybody that is a historian of this game, it is Kemro. So shout out to Kemro. Definitely, we should like post her video in like the Discord or something.
Absolutely,
others can have access.
100% going to do that. Like I said, if you follow our social medias, you can find out exactly what we're going to do next for season 3. So go ahead and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, BLKWHD Gaming. You can also give us a follow on Twitch, and there's a very important reason to follow us on Twitch. And I'm going to turn it over to John.
Now, why would we mention Twitch? Because if you do not want to play through the game yourself, we got you covered. Follow us there because every week, one of us will be playing that section of the game, and you could watch us play through it, and you can still join the Discord and talk about it and ask all the questions you want. We just do all the legwork for you. So go follow us there, and it's a good time, you know?
Facts.
Devon.
Hey, that's me. Listen, you're leaving work, you got a long drive home, you got a lunch break, or you got some, time to kill, this is on every listening platform known to man. The more important ones, though. So you got Apple Music, you got SoundCloud, you got Stitcher, you got Spotify, you got Google Play. Shit, we might throw this shit up on Facebook. Whatever. Listen, we're there. If you're interested in anything that we're playing or anything like that, or if you just got some time to kill, check us out. Give us a listen. Give us a follow. Give us a rating. Do it all. Hit us up on the socials everywhere. Let us know.
That is it for this season, guys.
It's a good season.
It's a great season.
Great season.
Yes. Ups and downs, man.
A lot of ups and
It's like a
downs
fucking roller coaster.
of emotions.
But we have come to the end because all things must come to an end.
To purge things, even if you love it.
I don't know. You might just have to extract them.
There you go.
I'm your host, Peter Hoy, with my friends, John Longaluco, a.k.a. Johnny Bag of Donuts.
How you doing?
And Devon Colbert, the Black Vegeta.
Hey, we're here. Give me your energy. See you later.